Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a really tense labor negotiation. You know, the kind of high-stakes standoff we're seeing more and more. And we've got something special, an internal union document that gives us a raw, inside look at the conflict between the global giant Teleperformance and its employees over in Spain. Okay, let's dive right in. So, what you're looking at here is the real deal. It's an information note from the UGT union, and it's our source for this entire breakdown. This gives us a rare chance to see what's actually happening behind closed doors, the demands, the counteroffers, all the intense pressure. So, what's at the heart of this conflict? Well, it all kicks off with something called a collective dismissal, a process started by the company. Now, what does that actually mean in plain English? A collective dismissal is basically the formal legal way a company can lay off a whole bunch of workers at once. And it's not because of what any individual did, but for these bigger business reasons. For the employees, though, it means one simple thing. Their jobs are on the line. Okay, but this isn't just about some legal procedure, right? It's about people's lives and their jobs. So let's get to the real question. How many jobs are we actually talking about here? Initially, the company's list was pretty long. It had 145 employees slated for dismissal. That was the starting number that got these really tense negotiations going. But that number has changed. The list of people affected has dropped, but honestly, only a little bit. It's now down to 130. So you're probably wondering how they went from 145 down to 130. Well, according to this union memo, 15 people got taken off the list. It was a mix of things. Some people quit voluntarily, others were moved to different roles, and a few even passed a language test for other open spots. But the bottom line is, that still leaves 130 jobs just hanging in the balance. All right, so facing these dismissals, the UGT union obviously came to the table with a plan. They had a clear set of demands designed to, cushion the blow for the workers who were about to lose their jobs. Let's break down the union's proposal. First up, they're asking for severance pay, 33 days of salary for every single year an employee worked there. They also want that capped at 24 months of pay. But this next part is crucial. They're demanding a guaranteed minimum payout of 2,000 euros. That's to make sure everyone gets at least some support. And, on top of that, they're pushing for things like voluntary signups. Okay, so that's the union's opening bid. How did Teleperformance respond? Let's take a look at what the company put on the table. And wow, this slide really gets to the heart of the whole thing. I mean, you can see the gap between the two sides clear as day. The company comes back offering 27 days of pay per year. That's a full 6 days less than what the union asked for. Then they want to slash the payment cap in half, from 24 months all the way down to just 12. And maybe the biggest tell? Their counteroffer doesn't even mention a minimum payout. Nothing. So, with such a huge difference between the two offers, you can imagine the union's reaction was fast and, well, let's just say it brought the whole negotiation to a screeching halt. The union's own words tell the whole story. They straight up said the company's offer was clearly insufficient. And that phrase is everything. They're not just saying they don't like it. They're saying it's so bad, so far off the mark, that an agreement is basically impossible right now.
And they didn't just leave it at that. They issued a direct warning. They essentially told the company, look, if you don't meet our demands, this whole negotiation period is probably just going to run out of time with no deal. So this isn't just talk. It's a very real threat that the whole thing could just collapse.
So, to put this all in context, here's where we are. The fourth meeting, back on November 19th, ended in this complete stalemate. The two sides are totally dug in, miles apart on the money, and now the clock is ticking down to their next huge meeting on November 28th. And this leaves us with the million-dollar question, doesn't it? With 130 jobs hanging in the balance and a fundamental disagreement on what's fair, is this next meeting going to be a breakthrough or a total breakdown? The answer won't just decide the future for these employees, it could really signal where the power lies in these kinds of negotiations for the entire industry.